Deion Sanders and the Colorado Buffaloes just landed one of the most dynamic players in college football via the transfer portal. Let's talk about it.
You are Locked On Buffs, your daily podcast on the Colorado Buffaloes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Buffs. I'm your host, Kevin Borba. Today's episode is brought to you by the Locked On Podcast Network. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts. So do me a favor, smash that like button, hit that subscribe button so that way you can keep up with every moment of the Colorado Buffaloes coverage. We're also brought to you by our sponsors over at FanDuel. The wild card round is here, and FanDuel is officially in playoff mode. Every game day during the playoffs, FanDuel is giving customers even more ways to get in on the action because right now, every NFL playoff game, FanDuel's users get a profit boost pack waiting for them inside the app. So visit FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL, and grab your profit boost every NFL playoff game day. Let's talk Boo Carter. It happened. The Buffs landed him last night. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to go live. My grandma turned 85, went to church with her, took her to dinner. Next thing you know, Boo Carter was Buff. So I was like, yes, let's go. Let's talk about what Boo Carter. We'll just talk about the Boo Carter experience. What does it mean? And then we'll talk about who's next because the Buffs have more targets on the horizon. So Boo Carter, former blue chip recruit, very, very interested in Colorado the first time around, right? I thought Colorado had him. I really did. And then he's a Tennessee native. So he ended up going to the University of Tennessee. And he was a really good player for them. And I thought it was going to work out there for him, but there was times before the season where it seemed like there was a little bit of a disagreement with him and the Josh Heupel, the head coach there. And all of a sudden it seemed like he was leaving the program and Colorado was seemingly in the mix. And then he decided not to leave the program. And then throughout the year, the tensions continued to rise and it seemed he had some issues in Tennessee, to say the least, between him and the staff. And so I hope there's none of that in Boulder, right? I do think Colorado is highly invested in football now moving forward. And I don't think they weren't invested before, but I feel like now they've ramped it up. So Boo Carter, he comes in as a all SEC caliber safety. He was actually an all SEC selection last year. So not this year, this past year. And I mean, he's a dynamic athlete. He could play both running back, safety, whatever. 5'11", 200 pounds. Was the number 3 ranked player in Tennessee. In 22 games with the Vols, 63 tackles, 7.5 tackles for a loss, 2 sacks, 3 PBUs, 3 forced fumbles, and a pick. And then he also had nearly 400 yards on 23 punt returns. And so as a recruit, though, this is where I thought Colorado had a chance because he had nearly 1,800 yards of offense, 27 touchdowns. He had 911 yards receiving and 12 touchdowns. And he also had 102 tackles. And so I was like, okay, if there's a place that can make it work for Boo Carter to play both ways, it'd be Colorado. That being said, I don't know if he plans to play both ways. I don't really know if Colorado needs him to play both ways. I think I could see him starting at safety and being the key returner for the Buffs because I think one of the things that Colorado has been looking for is that they want someone who could consistently make plays on special teams, right? LeJohntay Wester was that for them. That's sort of how LeJohntay Wester has made his keep in the NFL thus far with the Ravens. Is I don't think he's really gotten an opportunity on offense, but he's shown a lot on special teams as a kick returner, as a punt returner, right? So I think Boo Carter could return kicks for Colorado, return punts, and I do think in this go-go offense, there's a chance where it's like, hey, maybe Boo Carter's one of the running backs. I don't know what Brennan Marion has in store for him, or even if they're going to merge together. So Boo Carter, huge addition. Obviously, Colorado beat out Vanderbilt. They beat out a lot of other SEC teams who were interested in him. The one thing about Boo Carter that I think was interesting was, although he's had a lot of perceived issues in Knoxville, a lot of people want him, right? So a lot of people think they could fix whatever was going wrong. And clearly, I don't want to say something is wrong in Tennessee, but you have your quarterback leave all of a sudden, and there's just all of that. And I don't know if it's people getting bad advice or if it's just there's something going awry in the Tennessee program. So maybe Colorado can smooth things over and not have any of those issues to begin with. Let's see. Is there a chance that some of the portal players that entered the portal decide to stay? No, I doubt it. I think all the guys that left Colorado are out. I think Boo Carter, like for instance, there is a reason there was a reason that Carter Stoutmeyer decided to leave, right? He's one of the coach's godsons, Coach Mathis. He was a starter for the Buffs, right? I think a lot of the guys in Boulder, for the most part, saw the writing on the wall. Now, Omarion Miller, Tafik Bayard, Brandon Davis Swain, I'm sure I'm missing a couple others, but like London Merritt, Alexander McPherson, those guys were not going to get replaced. The other guys, though, I think a lot of them saw the writing on the wall. And the writing on the wall is that Colorado is heavily invested in this portal class. And I'm not saying they haven't been invested before, but let me just put it to you this way. There's a meme where someone's playing a video game and it's like they're losing, so all of a sudden they sit forward. Colorado is in sit forward mode right now. Like they are like, okay, let's lock in. We just went 3-9 after we went 9-4. That's not how this is supposed to go. So bringing in a guy like Boo Carter is Colorado sitting forward and being like, okay, let's lock the F in, lock the freak in, of course, is what I meant, and let's focus, right? We cannot allow this to continue to trend downward because we are meant to contend in the Big 12, right? Colorado, I think, should be a Big 12 contender year in and year out. I think the top three in the Big 12 should easily be BYU, Texas Tech, and Colorado every single year. The problem is Coach Prime obviously had cancer, so there's that. But he entrusted people to help him build his program, and those people let him down, right? There's a reason those people are no longer a part of the program. He trusted people, and they let him down. And now Coach Prime is heavily involved. Now Coach Prime is watching and seeing, okay, let's see what I could figure out. Let's watch this guy's film. Let's see how he fits into this team, right? Colorado is making huge moves in the portal. We're going to take a 5-second break. When we come back, we're going to talk about what Boo Carter coming to Boulder means. Welcome back to Locked On Buffs. We're free and available wherever you get your podcast. Make sure to like, subscribe, and follow. What does it mean? Well, for starters, the Colorado defense just I think it becomes, at least on paper, one of the better ones in the Big 12, right? I like Nathan Mitchell. I like Boo Carter, right? Nathan Mitchell is a team captain kind of guy. Those are two really quality safety spots. You also have the Vanderbilt transfer, who's I expect an announcement from him any day now, maybe even today. So we'll see. So you have two really good safeties. Corners, I think Justin Eaglin's really good. Cree Thomas didn't really play a lot, but I think he's a guy that I'm not mad at taking a flyer on a former 4-star recruit who played a little bit at Notre Dame, who's gotten to work with some really good coaches at Notre Dame. I'm not mad at that, right? I think he could be a starter. And you look at the linebackers. I mean, the linebackers led by Leona Lafau. You have him, you have ESPN, you have like Colorado's linebacker group is looking good. The defensive line is looking a lot thicker. They're looking a lot better. So this defense, I think, could be probably one of the biggest turnarounds in the country next season, or at least for sure in the Big 12, because you go from, okay, we were the number one defense in sacks. We were constantly getting to the quarterback. We were terrorizing wide receivers with Travis Hunter, and DJ McKinney looked really good because Travis Hunter was there as well. And then this past year, it was like, okay, we lost our identity on defense. We're not good at anything. We can't stop the run. Like, this Colorado defense to me is going to be a lot more physical. There's star power. And I think it's going to be a defense to be reckoned with. And I think if you're Robert Livingston, you kind of have to lock in as well too, because Robert Livingston, surprisingly, at least in my opinion, did not get a lot of heat this offseason, right? Everyone was like, you know what? And I myself included, I was like, you know what? Robert Livingston, you paid him a lot of money. Let him figure it out. But from the more I talked to people, the more I gathered, it was like, okay, Robert Livingston's defense struggled so much because Colorado didn't have good enough players. And it's like, okay, now he has the players. What does he do now with this caliber of player? That's my biggest question. So Boo Carter coming in gives you a star player on defense, a star. He could be an all-conference punt returner, all specialist. And then there's also the possibility that he plays a little slot wide receiver or running back, right? That was one of the things he wanted to do at Tennessee. And I believe that was one of the tiffs that they had, was like he wanted to play both ways and they didn't let him. Now, we'll see if that comes to fruition, because I think the only spot I could see him playing both ways consistently is running back and safety. And I don't know how many carries you want to give your starting safety, because obviously running backs take a hit. But a wide receiver, like Colorado is too loaded at wide receiver, right? I don't think they're in the mix for DeAndre Moore. You got Joseph Williams, you got Ernest Campbell, you got Cam Perry, you got Danny Scudero. Like you have a lot of talent a lot of talent at the wide receiver position. I don't think you need to shoehorn him in there just because, right? If you want to shoehorn him in, I don't know why I keep trying to say it if I can't say it, but if you want to sort of force Boo Carter to play offense, I think running back is probably the best way to do it, right? He's versatile. You could use him as a little scat back, right? Give him his terp touches. But you have a lot of running backs coming back. You have Micah Welch to Kalen Taylor. You have Damian Henderson, the transfer from Sac State. Jaquel Smith from Sac State as well. So you're bringing in transfers at running back. You have that room's a little full. So Boo Carter for sure starting at safety, probably going to be a returner for the Buffs. Don't know what his future looks like at offense. Hopefully everything behind the scenes is all worked out. But I mean, if you're a Colorado fan, you have to love the effort that you're seeing from this team, this staff, right? I think there was a lot of people, myself included, who kind of wondered if they were just mailing it in and being like, you know what, we'll see what happens, right? But I think they are in sitting forward mode. I think they are ready to attack the Big 12, and I think they're ready to make a run. Like if you ask me right now how good this Colorado team is or is going to be, like without even looking at their schedule, I'll tell you right now, I'm going to be disappointed if they're not playing for a Big 12 title next season. That's how high I am on the transfer portal additions that Colorado has made this offseason. If they are not playing for a Big 12 title, or at least in the mix for the Big 12 title by the end of the season, I'm going to be incredibly bummed out because that means something went catastrophically wrong. They have the talent. They have the coaching upgrades, I think, at most positions. So really excited. Now, we talked about Boo Carter. Who's next? The Buffs have a few more guys that I think could be coming this way. They also got a new quarterback. So let's take a quick break and we'll talk about that in 3 seconds. Welcome back to Locked On Buffs. Appreciate all of you guys for tuning in, making me your first listen of the day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts. Make sure to like, subscribe, and follow. If you're new to the show, hit that subscribe button. We're over 8,000. I want to get to 9. I want to get to 10. I want to get to 100,000, honestly, but we got to get to 9 and 10 before we get there. So if you're new to the show, what's up? I'm Kevin Borman, host of the show. Let's talk. We'll start with the new quarterback because I feel like a quarterback addition is always exciting. They added 3-star quarterback recruit from the 2026 class. So he's going to be on campus pretty soon, I would imagine. Keneal Sweetwine, I believe is how you say his name. I apologize if that's incorrect. From Skyridge, Utah, which is one of the better programs in Utah. Threw for 3,000 yards this past season, 32 touchdowns, dual threat guy. He ran for 907 yards and 14 touchdowns, was previously committed to North Carolina State, and then backed off his pledge, and now he's going to be a Buff. So exciting stuff there. And then you also have, excuse me, I'm about to sneeze. Apologies. Cedric Smith from Maryland, 6'4", 321-pound quarterback. No, I'm just kidding. He is a defensive lineman from Maryland. Didn't play a ton, didn't have the biggest role, but I think he's a perfect kind of depth piece where it's like, okay, this guy has the size, he has some experience. He was pretty productive in 2024. He was at Alabama A&M, 20 total tackles and a sack. This past year at Maryland, 7 tackles, nothing really special. He only played in 5 games, but I look at the size at 6'4", 320, probably 330-ish by the time Swayze gets done with him. And I'm like, okay, you could work with that, right? Not every portal player is going to be a star. Not every portal, at least not immediately, right? Some of these guys are going to go the Amari McNeil route, where it's like, okay, he wasn't the guy right away, but he ended up being really good. And so he's visiting Boulder. I expect Colorado to make a move there. And then they're also receiving a visit from App State corner. Let me pull my notes on him. Emory Floyd. Now, didn't have the most impressive coverage grades and all that. 67.1 this past season. But he's got nice size, 6'1", 195 pounds. He's a guy that he's a junior, so he has experience. He could line him up pretty much wherever you want, right? He's played in the slot. He's played some safety. He's played some on kick return, punt return. Like, he's done a little bit of everything. So the guy is versatile. Had a run defense grade of 85.1, so that's interesting, right? Maybe a willing tackler, to say the least. So Emory Floyd is in the mix for the Buffs. And then I still think they are in a good position for the Vanderbilt safety, Randon just because I think I don't think they're gonna be like, okay, we got a couple, we need to slow down, right? I don't think that's the case. I really don't. I feel like for Colorado, the problem that they've been having is Randon Fontenette is they're not thinking ahead to injuries, right? And Randon is listed as a safety linebacker. So you could still bring him in and just play him wherever you see fit, right? He's kind of a versatile hybrid guy, 6'2", 220 pounds. And like this past season for Vandy, starts his career at TCU, by the way. He was on that TCU team that lost to Coach Prime, ironically. Either way, 52 total tackles this past season, 6 pass deflections, and a forced fumble. Last year, he had 3.5 sacks, and a touchdown. So you could really play him anywhere. I think Colorado has a chance to bring him in. And I think Colorado is continuing to clean house in the portal, right? They're doing really well. It seems like, for the most part, if someone's on campus, they get them. So I appreciate all of you guys for tuning in, making me your first listen of the day. That is the latest on the Colorado Buffaloes. I appreciate all of you guys for tuning in, making me your first listen. We are free and available wherever you get podcasts. Make sure to like, subscribe, and follow. Very grateful for all you guys to tune in. It's been a fun journey. We're over 8,000 subscribers. Would love to get to 9. We're going to have some really cool guests coming up, interview some players. Those episodes are releasing sometime this week or next week, so you guys won't want to miss that as well. All of you have a great Sunday, and I will see you guys as soon as the next news breaks. I'm Kevin Borba.